And welcome to this third series of the blog. These sort of artworks here, this is one of my recent ones from this year. The playing part of it is just experimentation with these sort of casting resins that I built up with putty and then pouring it in there. Having sort of powders within that paints to create an almost luminous effect. Actually, I did purchase some powder that illuminates at night, it glows, so it captures the light and reflects that light. My plan, say for example, with this piece, put the steel rods on the edge and then build up a frame around that. That it has got a real structure about it. The formless features would be the figurines, particular figure. So the self-evaluative model is quite a complex model. So we could see this here as the kind of core identity, which then has on a peripheral level an upward facing and a downward facing aspect. So you've got upward, looking upward, and you've got lots of colour here to represent that, so all the interactions. And they look very similar, so the properties from the upward and the downward have a similarity to them. And then you've got the ones on the left and the right, so these are the kind of structural supports of our society. As an identity, we're like in the centre here, and that could be seen as like the cogito, or the point, the rational point. But within that sort of rational centre, this sort of marble core, there is a social core that's sort of giving it a context, but it is actually a layered context, and all our social activity and how we orchestrate that seems to sort of oscillate around the centre and core. Visual artists that reinterpret old works in a new way. And this, so that's the important part of being in the library rather than, say, taking the books out. And that allows, a different immersion in what could be called understanding. It gives a different focus. And I even noticed that between the two seasons, the on seasons when there are a lot of people, there is a sense of urgency.
It just got me to think about the phenomenology of the body in relation to kind of an arts practice in general, like when you're creating a sculpture, when the person, the intentional agent, qua artist, interacts with an intention to sort of put pigment on something or to take away something, subtract something. That's very similar to lots of the other activities, like tree climbing and removing palm fronds. There's a repetitive nature, but no action is identical with the previous action. Each palm frond will be uniquely positioned, and there'll be unique challenges within that context to keep yourself, for example, at that height safely and prevent a fall. That's one of the features. So there's this safety element, and safety assessment is a continual process. In some sense, that's just almost negligible when you're in front of a painting, or, well, not so if you're using a grinder and grinding away stuff. So it depends on the kind of artwork that you're engaging with. Welding, for example, quite a different set of situations. So in some sense, the phenomenology is very similar. That's what I feel. It's a sense of moving into the work. So whatever that may be, what distinguishes my experience now as a studio artist, created something which then becomes, valuable